Another nature video, my backyard. This is actually the front yard, and cats really do have a pretty good life. So, cat just lounging. It's not really nature, but you know what I mean. It's domesticated nature, but it's not really my cat, so it sort of makes it a wild animal. I mean, technically, it's a feral cat. One of its little victims, a little bird on the ground, dead. Yes, I know the dead stuff. Well, you run across a dead thing and you got a camera, you take a picture of it. So, just kind of miserable, the way life works. Happy little bird with a life and everything one day, and next day, no, it's not even the next day, next hour, you got nothing. These are just little turtle eggs down by that pond. When the turtles hatch, they sometimes pull the eggs to the surface, the shells. So it's just the shells, and it was a snapping turtle nest. It was pretty big indentation, but apparently some animals got to it. So that's what it looked like. So anyway, I did dig around a bit, because sometimes you find an egg that got missed, or the turtle didn't hatch right or something, and so there's sort of not very good odds if they make it to the water, and it's not too good odds if they don't. So I sometimes will keep one for a year or so just to raise it up to a little bit of a size. It's just a spider that was, or tick or something. It was in the bark of a tree, and so I poked it a little bit, tried to get it to move, but it looked like a little crab. It really blended in, and I kept poking it, and I eventually just knocked it on the ground, so I couldn't find it. So, but it was really, couldn't see it very well, but it was really strange shaped. Just the pond with the bridge. Just had the camera, took a picture. It's a nice day. But it's not very impressive. This is where they did all that work, and you can see it's a lot of work. It's like $70,000, and the water comes out of from under the bridge. It's really controlled, so all the erosion they did all this. The town paid for this, and it was just really kind of stupid. But it's kind of neat the way they do. They don't cement the rocks; they put them in this cage material, and it's like made out of a vinyl. It's not metal, so it's kind of interesting the way they do it. But the fact that they shouldn't have done it is pretty obvious. Pretty small stream if you look at it. These are tent caterpillars. There wasn't any moving around in there, so it's not a great, interesting shot. Some years these are really bad. You'll see them all over the place. The last few years there haven't been too many. So maybe my praying mantises are cutting their numbers down or something. But they go back to the nest every night. They go out and feed, and then they go back to the nest. There's another praying mantis eating a bug. This time he ate the bug from the bottom up. So the only thing left was his head and a little bit of his thorax with a wing. And you can still see his little antennas are moving each time a bite gets bitten out of him, and the legs twitch. I mean, it's really connected to when he gets bitten. Slowly eaten to death. But it's just amazing how resilient these insects are. I mean, you can eat, 3/4 of their body and they're still alive. Which is horrific in a sense if they do have a sentient consciousness, but it's also interesting, these little bugs, these little tiny flies, they're stealing a little meal too while the praying mantis was eating. So just moving around, you can see just in the same area there's another praying mantis in the dark there, you can see hanging upside down, and then there was another one right there. So there's like 3 of them within 3 feet of each other. And most all of them now have wings. There's a couple still that are a little behind. This is some really interesting fungus that grows around here on rotten stuff. You don't see it too often. It's kind of rare, but it's really beautiful. It's orange, and it's real firm. But definitely says don't eat me. It's got that stay away from me kind of look to it. It's kind of aggressive. But you do wonder how it controls its population. It doesn't spread too much. It doesn't take over the whole thing. So anyway, I ran out of video, so I'll just throw some pictures in. So I started one of my old pictures. This is the first digital photo I took of something real. It was a butterfly that must have got eaten by a bird. It was just sitting completely upside down, like it crashed into the earth, and so it was kind of a funny picture. This is a wood turtle. I haven't seen one in years, like 3 or 4 years, maybe 3 years. So they're getting kind of rare, which is kind of depressing. They're kind of a neat turtle because they really blend into anything. They just got this dullness to them. This is another fungus, looks like molten sulfur. Really, really bizarre. These were when they were dredging the pond, they had to take the fish out because of some stupid law, and it was really dumb, because they only took a quarter of the fish out, and so they were electrocuting them and then netting them. So And this was a snapping turtle that got displaced on that day. He was about 35-pound turtle, so he was a pretty good size. And here's another view of him. I like this picture just because he looks kind of friendly. He really wasn't friendly. He was chasing me as I was trying to take a picture of him. He was running right after me, trying to take a nip out of me. So I moved him across the stream and sang "Born Free." This isn't a great picture, but it would have been a great picture if I took a better picture. But it's a little fawn, and then its brother, and then the mother. This is a picture of a praying mantis just after it was hatched. It's just kind of a funny picture. You see how small they are. I mean, there's a fly on the flower, and there's a little tiny praying mantis. So it's like role reversal when they were first born. There's a box turtle. There's more of these than the wood turtles, but I haven't seen one of these in a couple years either. There can be really pretty turtle. You know, they come in different colors, orange, from yellow to orange. Just a painted turtle. There's more of these than the others, less endangered, but they're kind of a pretty turtle. Mostly hang around ponds and streams, mostly ponds, like warm water. Catfish, they're not as many as they used to be. People are fishing them out a little bit, but I actually introduced those into the Mendham Pond. I caught them in the stream and didn't put them in the pond, but they flourished for a while, but I guess they're too easy to catch. This is a little snake that, you know, on the day I was moving fish, I was catching fish to put them back in the pond because a whole bunch of them went in the stream. A bass had eaten this little snake and coughed him up, and so he was still alive. So I kept him for 2 days, but he died. Too chewed up. But it was just amazing to see a little snake pop out of a fish's mouth and live. These are just tadpoles in a blue puddle. You know, they all died, so it was like 10,000 of them, and they all died 3 days later when everything dried up. So it just shows how nature sucks. The plan isn't always perfect. This is a box turtle laying eggs. Did not a very good picture. So we're coming to the end here. This is snapping turtles. They were actually caught them when they were mating. It's right after that pond in the stream. And so there's the male. And you can't see the female. She's underneath him. But it was really, you know, just basically a rape. I mean, right now he's got his head down and he's keeping her. He keeps snapping at her head. Every time she pulled her head out, he'd snap at it. So it didn't look like they were having much fun. I mean, maybe he was, but she didn't look like she was having a little time. So, yeah, I just want to add on that fungus thing, which is kind of, well, we should look at the camera now. The fungus thing was kind of interesting because it did provoke some thought, but you're saying, well, why isn't this fungus all over the place? I mean, the place it grows very nicely. So why isn't it just spread all over the place? Why doesn't it do the DNA thing? Why doesn't it do the take over the world thing? And so I was thinking about that, and I guess the only answer I could come up with, you know, and the amount of thought I gave it, was that probably a lot of organisms have that birth control thing built into them. If they too aggressively exploit an environment, then they'll end up becoming a food source for something. And so if they populate so densely that something lives off of them, there's probably a pretty good likelihood that they could be eradicated if that other organism flourishes. And so there's sometimes an advantage to controlling or remaining in a very small niche, so nothing's capitalizing or nothing's living on you, because once you become a feeding ground, then you're vulnerable to being, like I said, then the Holocaust can happen. So the Holocaust of eradication is less likely to happen if you don't overpopulate or don't populate too densely. You know, keep yourselves separate from each other. Don't get too crowded. So that's the only theory I could come up with. And I guess that's it. That's enough. So till next time.